Today, I am joined by producer Brian Bell, whose work spans more than 2 decades and includes some of the most compelling films of our time. He's collaborated with visionary directors, including Ang Lee, Todd Haynes, and Jason Reitman, and he has helped bring stories to life alongside acclaimed actors such as Will Smith, Jennifer Aniston, Julianne Moore, Meryl Streep, and Channing Tatum, among many, many others. From independent films to major studio releases, Brian's work sits at the intersection of storytelling, collaboration, and leadership. And today we are going a little bit deeper into what that really looks like behind the scenes and what it means to build a life in storytelling.
Well, first, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So, you have an incredible career, but I'd love to backtrack some and tell me about how you found your way into producing. And was it something that you thought you were going to do, or?
I didn't really have any aptitude for anything else. That was the first thing. I wasn't very strong academically, but I was also kind of rebellious. I didn't like staying with a program, which that doesn't work really well for school. So I was kind of an outlier, but I also found myself moving towards more purpose-driven activities. Things I found engaging, I would get really into. And things I wasn't engaged by, I couldn't understand why I should learn it. And I'm not advocating for that. It's just the way my brain works. Yeah. You should know algebra and these things. But to me, it didn't turn me on. So early on, I got into a lot of audio, radio, sound, these sorts of things. And then storytelling. I always wrote stories when I was a kid. What I do now isn't writing. I'm not a writer-producer. I'm a physical producer. But when I got my start, I was rooted in this idea that I'll be a writer at some point. That drove me. So when it didn't work out, because it didn't work out, it's a little bit of a lottery, and maybe I'm not as good as everybody else, it was still a good tool to have in the arsenal. For what I do in physical production, because you still have to understand story. You're still part of the storytelling team, even if you're not writing the script.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was in radio. I was a jazz program director.
Oh, cool.
At my first college, and then I transferred. I did some writing. I made some short films, and then I kind of just it's not like now where they have all kinds of alumni resources. You just kind of like fell out onto Broadway. I was at NYU. You just kind of walk onto Broadway and you go, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do next. I made these short films nobody really cares about. So, I had to like get faxes and, from the mayor's office, find out what productions were going on, and then kind of just hustled because I didn't have family in it. I didn't really know anybody in it. So, but I was a hustler. So
but that's awesome because you had to learn all of those skills and make it work.
Yeah.
It gives you great tools.
I was also driven by this fear that somehow I wasn't going to wind up, doing something I loved.
Yeah.
I was petrified of this idea that I was going to be nothing against it, doing a job, whatever that job is, for the rest of my life, like a life sentence, just petrified me. And that motivated me to just, put my nose to the grindstone and just, make it happen.
So you really laser focused on film pretty early. Then.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Once you got going.
Now, if the opportunities, there were like 5 productions in New York. If there had been more interesting TV productions, I might be in TV now. But there were more interesting film productions, so I wound up in film. Okay. But I always liked watching movies. I kind of like gorged them when I was a kid. And there was a clerk at a video rental store, a 5-minute walk from my house, who didn't seem to care that I was 9 and 10 years old. And rented me anything I wanted. And so sometimes I'd watch 2-3 movies a day, largely inappropriate things. And I loved it. It just like fascinated me. So, film was always there. I like TV, but film was like a passion. But interestingly, now the more I do it, it's changed from passion as like an observant audience member to more of passion of process. So I get more interested. I'm now more interested in the process than I am maybe in the final result. And I know that sounds weird. I want the films to do well.
No, it doesn't sound weird.
But what really turns me on is how it happens.
Right.
the mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot of moving parts, and it does sort of seem like magic once it all comes together.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still that element of magic. That's what it kind of feels like. I mean, I know that there are very things that are very rooted and very grounded and have to happen, but there's still sort of a magical element, I think.
It is.
I think.
It is magic.
Yeah.
I mean, so somebody can sit and write a script and they can have all the experience in the world. And now this is for me. This is my own excitement in the process. When I'm given a script to read to consider a project,
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the few people who gets to read it and think about, how is this going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Where is this going to happen? You know, what are the critical elements?
Mm-hmm.
How do I support those elements? What aren't the critical elements? And how do I not get distracted by the less critical elements? And as I'm reading it, because now after 25 years of this, it happens sort of in real time. I try to just be an observant sort of audience member when I read it, like a first pass. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of go to sleep, and then I wake up and I have a production plan.
Wow.
That's what happens now. And they don't always go for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not like just because I thought of it,
Right.
that's law.
Right.
But the next thing that happens is I read it a little bit more critically, I take notes, and then I'll have a first meeting. That's typically the way it goes. And in that meeting, maybe they're meeting 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're meeting 20 people. Maybe I'm the last guy they want. Maybe they heard things about me that they think don't line up with the person they want to align themselves with. So I go in with an open mind, but my own ideas about what I think it should be. And I usually have a pretty strong opinion about it. And I'm not afraid to just speak my mind in the interview, which I think people like. I certainly like it. And if they hate the idea so much that they're insulted and, you know, incensed that they don't want to work with me, then it was never going to work anyway. Like, that's my philosophy.
Yeah, well, they also know what they're getting. I mean, I think it's good to know what your ideas are, because then they know, like, this is going to work or it's not going to work.
And sometimes the ideas that I have early on are, like, electrifying to the filmmakers. They're like, we're starting to see this. It's exciting.
Well, that's
And
exciting.
then half the things don't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Because a lot of what we do is produce inspiration that motivates the thing to keep going on, right? So even if those things wind up not coming true, it's not like a referendum on those early thoughts. It's actually proof, because now you're making the film, that there was enough inspiration behind it that it got it going.
It's part of the process.
And then you just go with the, you know, wherever the path winds towards, you just go in that direction. Yeah.
Are you in awe of, because I love the reference with you sort of devouring all these films as a kid and that bridge to what you're doing now? Does that strike you sometimes, and how like amazing that is that you are part of that? I
mean, especially with I really like comedies and horror movies when I was like genre films when I was little. I didn't understand a lot of them. I'd watch everything, but even the ones I didn't understand, I always made it to the end. Right, and then watch it again, see if I could understand it. And some things I would revisit 20 years later and go,
that's fun.
Oh my God, I had no idea that's what that was about. My head wasn't there. But certainly when I started doing comedies, because I've never made a horror movie, which I'd still love to make a horror movie, but I was doing comedies for a while, and being on the set with these like comedy legends a lot of times, like David Zucker, who did like the Airplane movies and Naked Gun. I got to work with him on a movie that didn't do so well. It was one of the scary movies, but the 10-year-old in me was like, you know, on fire. I was just so excited.
That's awesome.
And talking to this guy, and he's teaching me, like, he has his own set of rules about how you do things. And that was maybe that was the second or third comedy I did out of like 8 or 9 in a row. And I learned a lot from him, but I had already kind of developed my own system for thinking about things, tracking things, figuring things out. On those movies, it's about gags, right? So if you've seen, they're silly. They look silly. They look really pedestrian, but in truth, those gags are very sophisticated. And it requires a lot of integration.
I'm sure that they are.
And then when you add into that a creative comedy writing process that's always changing and then sort of vetting and saying, let's kick the tires on this. Is this funny enough? Could it be funnier? Does it work at all? Is it too expensive? Is there another version of it we could do that's equally funny? And it becomes very collaborative amongst all the departments. So you know, every gag is like its own mini adventure. And on that movie, we had like 150.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And every day was like, okay, we got these 4 gags. Remember this, we're doing this. Stunts is doing that. Props is doing that. Visual effects is doing that. And then it's like, go. And it all falls apart. Oh, no. You got to fix it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like you start to see where the weak links are. And then you have to sort of update things. So, but the 10-year-old in me is sitting there watching this like my mind's blown.
That's so cool.
I'm like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So that was definitely, as somebody who was an audience member, that's where I probably integrated the most and was most inspired.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. It really is. It really is. What did your early years teach you about the kind of work that you did want to be a part of? Like when you were out there hustling and you're talking about, but you mentioned that you wanted to be with films because that was what was drawing you in more than, say, TV shows. And then the question following that is, you know, for anyone outside the industry, producer could mean like a lot of different things. And what does your role actually look like across the film? And I know that is vast.
And it's always different.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about from film to film.
Yeah. So the thing about what it was about it that made me want to do it, well, it's that you never know what's going to happen next. You don't know what project you're going to be on next. You don't know where you're going to go next. And I think I love that.
So the uncertainty doesn't
I
bother
prefer.
you. Okay.
To me, that's living. I don't like predictability. I mean, I want things to run smoothly when I'm there. Like once things lock into place, you design rules around it. That's for the film. That's for the job.
Right.
But for a lifestyle for me, I like, not knowing.
It's vibrant.
I don't know where I'm going to be living. I don't know who I'm going to be working with. I don't know what the challenges are going to be. I don't know. They're going to hate me. Are they going to love me? Am I going to succeed or fail? Like I like that, and it keeps me sort of on my toes all the time. So it goes back to this idea of like the rigidity of the classroom for me didn't work. It was like we're going to have a test on Tuesday, and this is when the midterm is, and that's when that is. Study, test, result. To me, it was just too rote.
Yeah.
So I think when I was a kid, I just floated a lot. I started I would wander off and roam around town and talk to strangers and go to random places. And when I was 13, I started traveling. I would just go to, I traveled to, we had family friends in Holland.
Oh, cool.
In random places. And I would have to save up money. My dad's like, you want to travel? That's great. You got to get a job.
At 13, you were doing that. That's amazing.
And there was a girl involved in the first one.
Yeah.
But I chased, but chasing something. It wasn't even about romance. It was about chasing, well, it was romance, but not physical romance. About the idea of traveling, the idea of earning it to go on my own, nothing being handed to me. And then, working at a fast food restaurant and selling burgers for 6 months to scrape together enough money to get a cheap plane ticket. And then crash at a place in Belgium or something, and trying to learn the language. Yeah. So purpose driven. Yeah. I'm like, I guess I have to understand French now. I should start paying attention in French class because otherwise this girl's not going to understand me. So to me, that's a logical thing. What now I'm a little bit more evolved, but back then it was if I want to talk to this girl who speaks French, I have to learn French. If I want to learn French, I have to pay attention in this class. Therefore, I'm going to pay attention to this class.
It gave it real life meaning.
Yeah, practical application.
Right.
And then I was fluent. I mean, when I got there, we spoke and talked, and she dumped me in 10 minutes, and that was fine. But then I was just in Belgium, and hanging out with her random alcoholic father, and wandering around, drinking beers at 15. So, but that to me is an adventure. I had no idea when I was selling the burgers. That next, I would be walking around with this crazy French guy, Belgian guy, for a month. And I enjoyed myself. And it didn't go as planned. So I started to learn, I don't need things to go exactly the way I think they're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, when they don't go that way, and then I just can be an objective observer of that, I can enjoy it.
And I have also found that when I've lived in other countries and I had to rise to the occasion, what you're talking about, learning a language, finding your way around the city, hopping on a subway, it gave me so much confidence.
Yes.
It gives you so much confidence because you're like, I did this thing. So then you can go on and do the next thing. So that was always my experience.
The day my kid turned 15, my little one, I booked a flight, and I said, you get a taxi, get to the airport,
Mm-hmm.
go through security,
Mm-hmm.
check in, and fly to me, and then come to my place.
Mm-hmm.
Did it, And to me, like, if you can do that,
Yeah.
you're set with like 85% of the stuff you
Yeah.
need to do in life.
Yeah.
If you just do that one thing at 15,
Mm-hmm.
so like not being overprotective and rigid, and the kid's light, the kid wants it.
Right.
I want it.
They like that you put the confidence in them.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in the 80s, my parents, most parents are just like,
We're feral.
going to Belgium. What did you do in Belgium? I hung out with an alcoholic for a month. Oh, that's interesting. What'd you do in Holland? Oh, they were all smoking pot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't a thing.
So what you're saying is that all of this basically lined you up to become a producer.
Being an alcoholic pothead. Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's
the worldly travels, the confidence. No, but in all seriousness, it definitely laid the ground for
yes,
some of the
adventure.
Adventure.
And there's something about the process of filmmaking, in my role in particular, because I'm not a bystander.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an operator. Like, I'm planning it. I'm thinking about it.
So what are you planning? Like, what is it what is it you do? Like when you get a script, and you talked a little bit about this earlier, then your brain is automatically going into production mode, and where can you trim the fat or add, or what can inspire, or there are all these different things.
The first thing is I want to have a perspective.
Okay.
Because any director and any producer should have a perspective on the film that they're making.
Mm-hmm.
And typically they're going to respect somebody who has a perspective. So if my perspective is, don't go over budget, but I don't talk about the story and what it is that they're doing, and I'm meant to be an ally and a partner,
Mm-hmm.
that's not very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
To me either.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days when I first started, I just would live in the abject terror of going over budget because we had no money.
Mm-hmm.
So like my first movies were like $50,000 and $75,000. I did tiny little movies.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't fall back into money.
Right.
So if things went sideways, you would capsize.
Mm-hmm.
So I started learning tools and building systems then.
Mm-hmm.
That was like in my early 20s. I'm doing these tiny movies
Mm-hmm.
and they're ridiculous. I mean, what they want to do, the objectives were insane. Like they should have been institutionalized for thinking that you're going to do this. Like you
Mhm.
wrote this thing and this is how much money you have.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, let's do it,
Yeah.
And, if you said, you can't do this, you can't do that, they're just going to push back. That's the project they want to make. But
Mhm.
mostly what they want to hear is, yes,
Right.
or, but, yes, but, like, and with a perspective. So if you just say, yeah, sure, you can do anything you want, that's just lying.
Right.
But if you say, yes, but here's my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
then you're actually adding a little bit of body
Yeah.
to the response. So that's what they want to hear. So if I read a script and it's in a place and there's a certain type of character, I can relate to that. Like, I'm not a money guy.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the money and I understand the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I learned those mechanics like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They were pretty solid, pretty solid foundation, and I'm always tweaking it.
Uh-huh.
But that's one of those things you learn to forget. It becomes like a core value,
Right.
like a foundational thing.
Yeah.
But the actual job has nothing to do with the budget. So you talk about a budget. And people, when they talk about my job, which I'm a producer, an executive producer, a line producer, none of them change who I am.
Right.
It's just what the credit is that they're willing
Right.
to offer on the film.
Right.
And often it's kind of meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
What's actually meaningful is what's the vacuum that needs to be filled.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There might be a creative producer with great instincts,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or there may not be.
Mm-hmm.
So my role changes based on who my partners are.
Right.
And how much they're willing to collaborate, want to collaborate, or need to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to go in, I have confidence, but I try to keep my ego in check.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'll show up with a suite of things. I can do any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll rewrite your script, not as well as a good writer,
Mm-hmm.
like a top writer. But my point is, like, I'll do any of these things I needed to do
Mm-hmm.
at any point. I don't care if it's production design. Like, if you say to me, I have to figure out these costumes, I don't dress that well, but I can figure out how to think about things in a way to scratch the itch. So I can do any of these things. It's not about producing.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about like a way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and you've accumulated all of these experiences over the years, so you can talk about, all of those different elements.
Right. So I don't ever like doing typically the same, except for that period where I just did comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I still never worked with the same directors over and over again. And I thought during that period, well, if I keep changing directors, it'll keep things fresh.
Mm-hmm.
What I really needed to do was like the complete opposite of the last thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something, and now I'm kind of fortunate I can do that. I can be more, the industry's been slowing down a little bit. I think it'll pick up again. But for the last 5 years, I've been able to, pick. And I tend to try to pick things that are like diametrically opposed to the last thing I did because it keeps you thinking differently.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So like the last movie I did was action, like a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
This Catherine Bigelow movie with, lots of set work, lots of location work. We were international locations,
Mm-hmm.
very specific kind of director, and now a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
So mix it up.
Yeah, but they're like opposites in a
Mm-hmm.
way. Not that one's good and one's bad or one's challenging and one's not. It's just that they're very different.
Different. And different skill set. You like to
different skill
exercise
set.
your skill set.
So this way, I'm always pulling things I learned from one genre
Mm-hmm.
and applying them in a different genre,
Yeah, that's cool.
which is not something,
Yeah.
People who tend to stay in the same genre
Mm-hmm.
don't do that because
Right.
it's like, this is what you do
Mm-hmm.
on a comedy. This is what you do on an action movie. This is what you do in a drama.
Mm-hmm.
And they become rules, like they fasten, like they
Mm-hmm.
become hard and fast. And that's boring, first
Yeah.
of all. And also, like, problems are the fuel for what I do.
Hmm.
So how you think about the problems is what makes the job interesting. If you have more access to more experiences and tools that you've figured out to
Right.
solve those different things, and you can start applying them cross-genre,
Mm-hmm.
then, it makes it more dynamic.
So problems aren't necessarily really like problems for you, right? It's kind of what you're saying. I mean,
No, they're exciting.
right.
They're challenging.
Well, you're
There's
agile.
no
Clearly,
problems.
you're very agile, and you go at it from different angles. Not everybody's like that. So that's
I wasn't like that before.
That's a great thing. That's a great thing for sure.
I wasn't born like that. That's something that, when you're thrown into things
Mm-hmm.
that are, really chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know how to do it,
Yeah.
which you can't. And that's the thing about, people who say that I want to be a producer.
You just gotta.
The first question is, are you what kind of grades do you get in school? I'm talking about my kind of producer, not the ones who luncheon with agents and went to Harvard and,
Mm-hmm.
these guys. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a producer are you? If you were a straight A student and you feel like it's going to rattle your cage to get a C,
Mm-hmm.
my job's not for you.
Mm-hmm. That's
I'm
a
not
great
afraid
point.
to get a C.
Yeah.
Like I grew up getting C at best,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that means when there's a challenge, problem, whatever you want to call it, I'm not afraid to take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to take a chance
Mm-hmm.
because I know what failure looks like and it doesn't scare me. What scares me is not knowing or suddenly feeling like I can't figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you're thrown into that position and aren't fearful
Mm-hmm.
of whatever the outcome is, it frees you up
Yeah.
to problem solve. And it's happening all day.
Well, and also, again, it's sort of like the traveling early on, you gain confidence. It's like you gain confidence that you're going to find some sort of solution. You don't know what it is, but you know you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the.
It's going to be all right.
It's like the the freedom to be in the unknown, which you said you thrive on. But that scares people, a lot of people. That really does scare a lot of people. So it's an incredible tool.
Yeah, I just see it like you get one crack. So far as we know, you get one crack at this.
Yeah.
And I just decided I'm going to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, go for it.
And I'm going,
Yeah.
Like everybody. So I want it to be meaningful.
It's fascinating. So, I mean, you've worked on a number of like iconic, with iconic comedic and dramatic films and with this extraordinary range of directors, including Ang Lee and Jason Reitman and Todd Haynes. So what have those collaborations taught you? Like that's a broad subject, I'm sure.
Don't ever think you know everything. Even if you successfully work with somebody who's very challenging, doesn't mean you've worked with everybody who's challenging. Who's it? Every happy family is exactly the same, and every dysfunctional family is unique in their own way.
Yeah.
Applies to what I do. And I'm not to say the productions tend to be, by design, at face value, dysfunctional. They're mathematically impossible. And then you add in the element of these personality types, and you're just talking about the director.
Right.
You're not thinking about producers, studios, talent,
it's a lot.
Crew,
location.
There's so many variables. You could put it in the smartest computer and have it run the model for 20 years. It'll never accurately predict what's going to happen.
Right.
It can't.
Right.
And you don't know what variables. Is it going to rain? Are you going to, is there going to be a hurricane that washes out your location? You got to go somewhere else. You couldn't know. So the thing I learned is there's not, I love working with directors who push me.
Okay. And push you in what way? The challenges you're referring to, or push you creative? What do you mean?
Just every film I walk onto the set or any director meeting I walk into, I want them to start me at square one.
Okay.
I should get no benefit of the doubt because of my resume.
Okay.
That like I'm a PA again.
Okay.
I have to prove myself again.
Okay.
I need that. And I'm not afraid to walk into a room with a director thinking of me that way.
Okay.
I like it. So I think they like it because I don't think they want somebody in my position walking in the room with hubris.
Right.
Like, I've been there, I've done that, this is the way it's done, blah, 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 blah. So now you get somebody who wants to, what is directing? You're trying to tell a story that's never been told. You're trying to push past boundaries. So if the person you're sitting across, who's your first person you're hiring on the project, is already putting restrictions on you, this is the way we do it, this is the way I work, then it becomes like an assembly line approach. What they really want, I think, maybe there's variations in who they are, but I think one thing that they want across the board is, for you to walk in with an open mind.
Yes.
So, and I do that. I'll listen, but if they want me to talk, then I talk. If they want me to shut up, I shut up. If they tell me to shut up, I'm not insulted. If they tell me I have something to learn,
it's not personal.
I listen.
Right.
And that's what I mean when I say they push me. I'm always having an education about life. It's not even in filmmaking. It's about me. So I'm always like updating my software, I guess, trying to be more humble. And I know that sounds ridiculous in an industry where it's all about.
Well, I think you are humble. Otherwise you wouldn't behave that way.
Well, or I'm just saying.
You wouldn't go into it that way.
Posing. But an industry that's really about glamour and, publicity and, public image. I'm the B side of that, what I do. And this is what I was telling you earlier, I don't typically do interviews this way. I'll talk to classes, but I'll interview with a director, I'll interview with a studio. I'll sit in a room with 40 people and I can run that meeting. I'm fine with that. But what I don't typically do is have interviews about what I do. And part of it is because, I don't seek it out. And I like talking to you. We've gotten to know each other a little bit.
Right.
It's part of why I'm here is because you're easy to talk to.
Equally.
But also because I kind of operate in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the underbelly of the industry. It's the part people don't often talk about. It's the not showy part.
Mm-hmm.
You can't boil it down into sound bites
Mm-hmm.
and easily digestible ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the same. Actors' process is very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, there's a whole industry around figuring out how to distill that complication into sound bites,
Mm-hmm.
so that actor can sit down in an interview like this and talk about a process in a way that's accessible.
Okay, I never thought of it that way.
Right?
Okay.
So, and there's a process, and I'm not diminishing it.
No, I understand.
My mind's blown by it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's different
Yeah.
from what I do.
Yeah.
And it's more public facing and more easily public facing.
Yeah.
Same with the producer. How did the project come to you? I read a book. I met the writer.
Right.
That's very accessible. People can say, I could be a producer. I like reading books.
Right.
And, if I meet some people
Yeah.
and then I get the studio involved, wham, bam, I'm a producer.
Right.
Well, it's not that simple. Right? And there's a lot more to it on a creative producer level,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm creative. I'm not a creative producer in that I don't find material
Okay.
and package material.
Okay.
But everything that happens from the point of origin, which is a director and a script,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes money, sometimes not money,
Mhm.
come together,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first person hired. And so everything that happens from that point on is me.
Mm-hmm.
Not through post-production, just through production. But this is a
Mm-hmm.
critical part of it.
And so, with all of these variables going on, to begin with the director and the script and the producer, and then it grows from there. But it sounds, trust has to be a huge factor in all of this as you grow. I mean, and it seems like your humility and your approach to going into a new setting with a new director has a lot to do with that. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just saying it sounds, as I'm hearing that, like if I were sitting down to work with you on a new project and that's your approach, I instinctively would have sort of an immediate response of trust because you're not trying to overrun something, you're open. But what is your take on that?
Well, maybe more than trust, it's about, I think, integrity.
Mm.
Because trust can be subjective.
Well, that's true.
Like I could be honest with somebody, but they may not have the capacity to hear what I'm saying.
Well, that's true.
So they may say, I don't trust you, but
That's true.
that doesn't mean I'm not trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk more about integrity because that's about my intention.
Mm.
Integrity is
I
my
like that.
intention. That's
Yeah.
subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. Everybody has their definition. I mean, there is one definition of integrity, and I try to guide myself with that. Sometimes to have integrity means you have to lie.
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes you have to protect people from themselves.
What do you
sometimes,
What do you
I mean, it's complicated.
Okay.
So you wind up in this like emotional, psychological jujitsu.
Mm-hmm.
What if I have integrity, right? If you equate that with always telling the truth, what happens if by telling somebody the truth, it exposes them to something that makes them unsafe?
Good. Oh.
Then what? So integrity trumps truthfulness.
That's interesting. Okay.
So it's not, and that's the thing again, like in my personal life, I don't think this way.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my personal life, things don't get that complicated, typically. I don't have to like tell a lie, a carefully orchestrated lie, to protect somebody from themselves.
Mm.
But
There's
sometimes,
some psychology right there.
yeah.
That's a lot of psychology.
And, oftentimes the filmmakers will find out, or I'm doing it on their behalf,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm, because ultimately the studio director, maybe producer, this group, usually it's the director, hire me.
Uh-huh.
But I work for the film. I work for the concept of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes, I'm not going to name names, I'm in a position where the director's saying, this is the way it must be done. But what my integrity tells me is, I've been here before, I have more experience in making this kind of a decision than this director does.
Right.
And my job is to protect the film. Now, do I have to protect the film from the director?
Mm.
Now, that's where it gets complicated. I typically wouldn't just do things,
Right.
right? but I would try to advocate for the film.
Mm-hmm.
And at the point where they just say, I hear you, but we're not doing it that way, we're doing it this way, that's when I back off.
Mm-hmm.
So I maintain my integrity, I state my case,
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for the film, but I also know that what the pecking order is.
Right.
That the director's going to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
I advise. If they believe me
Mm-hmm.
and they still don't want to do it my way, then there's something abstract
Mm-hmm.
in the way they're thinking about it that's maybe not for me to understand.
Right.
And that's okay too.
But you've done
I've
your
done
part.
my part.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some complicated dynamics with some of these things, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've addressed some of this, but you were saying previously that this is, purpose-driven work. And so as you look at a script or you look at these various elements, how do you choose a project through that lens now in your life?
Well, a lot of it is kind of what I said about always picking the different,
Yes.
the polar opposite of the last thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, it's funny because there was a period of time where I did an Ang Lee movie, a Todd Haynes movie, Clifford the Big Red Dog,
Mm-hmm.
and an Ang Lee movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was interviewing with a producer, and that's the way he said it. He said, "You seem great, but I have one question for you. Big producer, big producer, multi-Academy Award-winning producer." And he asked me, "So you did a Todd Haynes movie, an Ang Lee movie, Clifford the Big Red Dog, and another Ang Lee movie. Why?" And I said, "I don't have to answer that question because I wanted to."
How'd that go
And
over?
Well, I was being honest.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to. I had little kids. Maybe they were
Yeah.
going to be into it. I was going to be home. But also, as I said to him, he pushed a little bit more. And he said, "No, I really want you to answer the question." And I said, "Okay. So you may look at Clifford the Big Red Dog and thumb your nose at it. Forget about the fact that it probably was more successful than 80% of the movies I've done. Not that that's why I do a movie, because of box office success. That's not. That aside, I asked him, have you ever worked with, maquettes and puppetry and, sort of this crossbreed of visual effects and live action?" And I said, because I never had, and it doesn't matter if that puppet is an orc from, what's it called? The Hobbit.
Oh, that's all right.
Or if it's Clifford the Big Red Dog, or if it's Super Mario, or whatever it is, it's a concept, right? And now that I understand that concept, I might be on a movie that's a drama that requires that.
Right.
I know how to do it. That's in my toolkit. I did it. I understand how to work with puppeteers. I understand how to talk to visual effects and a cinematographer about how to blend those ideas in a way that I wouldn't have known had I not done it.
Right.
So I said, you now have access for free to that part of my brain. Should it come up? And if it doesn't, you don't. And I said, but if you want to go through my resume and poo-poo every movie I shouldn't have done, I can probably explain something to you I learned on that movie that you now have free access to. Or not.
Yeah.
If you choose not to use it, I bring my whole suite of tools. It's like I call it the smorgasbord. And the more movies I do, the bigger my smorgasbord gets.
Right.
If you just want the potato salad, you'll enjoy it. It's great potato salad. But if you want the lobster and this and that, that's also available. You can choose it. But, you may say at the beginning, I just want the potato salad, and halfway through there, give me the lobster. Okay, got lobster. I'll come in and rescue you or your project as a result. And he said, okay, and then he hired me.
Well, so it's interesting. I would have never thought of, I know actors and specifically can often get pegged into these roles, but I never thought of it as that translating over to a producer role or them looking at in that way.
Well,
That's interesting. I just wouldn't have ever thought that.
People get pigeonholed in every echelon of the business.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is really self-inflicted, not doing the same thing as an intentional thing.
Yeah.
being pigeonholed is passive.
Right.
Being diversified is active.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when I was working in comedies, year after year, comedy after comedy, in that world, the directors all talk to each other, the talent all talk to each other, the studio all talk to each other, and they go, get me the comedy guy. We love that guy. He does it all the time. We don't have to worry about it. They all love him. He's got a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
He'll sit at the video village and make jokes, and
Mm-hmm.
we just love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
The talent loves him, and that's great. And you can go on like that until you drop.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. There's
Yeah.
really nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But for me, at a certain point, I just felt sort of empty.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. And actually, it was my agent at the time,
Hmm.
you know, he kind of yelled at me because, and that's why I liked him,
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, could you stop it with the self-pitying act?
Mm.
You know, I guess I'll just do comedies forever act.
Mm.
You know, you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just have to stop thinking that way.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, who's going to hire me? Martin Scorsese?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did all these screwball comedies. You think Martin Scorsese's going to have 5 resumes in front of him and go, give me that guy?
Yeah.
So what happened was, he got me an interview through a series of relationships and timing and everything with Ang.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like maybe 10 or 12 years ago. I was just coming off of Sisters. This great comedy
Mm-hmm.
with Jason Moore as the director I loved, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Love them.
So much fun, but it was
Love
like the
them.
end of a run of like 6-7 years of just
Mhm.
doing comedies.
Mhm.
Nothing against the film. It was great. The
Mhm.
people were fantastic. So he called me up and he said, do you want to meet with Ang Lee? And I'm like, he'll never hire me. He said, shut up and read the script and just go in for the interview. I said, who else is interviewing? He said, just shut up
Mhm.
and read the script and go in for the interview.
Mhm.
And I said, okay. So I read the script. It was this movie, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. Didn't do very well. Very well made. Great script. And it was Ang Lee. So I go, I meet with him. I sit down. And he said, so did they tell you about... I could barely understand half of the things he was saying. Now I can understand
Mhm.
him. But I was, he has a thick
Mm-hmm.
accent. So I'm, trying to understand him. And he said, did the studio tell you about new cinema? That I want to reinvent cinema? I said, no. And he said, yes. So I want to do everything in a new way. And I listened.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked for, half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know me. I barely
That's
spoke.
amazing. Yeah.
And he's talking about the way we make movies, the way I make movies, and why I need to make movies a new way, and why audiences need to see movies a new way, and why. And I'm just like, well, I don't read interviews with directors, and I'm
Right.
sure he talks about all these things,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm busy. I'm making them. I'm not
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
Reading magazine
Yeah.
articles and watching interviews. I'm trying to live in it. So, but to me, this was all new.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listened, and I basically said, okay, let's do that, So, but basically, in a nutshell, it was this new technology,
Mm-hmm.
which meant like redefining how we film movies, how we capture the data at a different frame rate and 3D and all this craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what any of it was. I'd never done any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, okay. So then we talked for like another, I don't know, it felt like a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my agent and he said, how did it go? I said, I don't know. I was there for maybe an hour and a half. He was very nice and he told me about this new cinema thing. I don't know. I have no idea what it is, but I told him like, yeah, sure. And he goes, okay, good. Well, I'll let you know what they said. So a couple of days go by and he said, okay, he wants you to go in for a second interview. And I said, well, how many people? He goes, there were 5 people. And he's like, I don't know how many people are left, but he wants to talk to you again. So I go in, we talk for another hour, which is just a continuation. It wasn't even like an interview, just a continuation.
Yeah.
Like, what does it feel like to be talking to you every day? What does it feel like to be engaged with you
Right.
every day? And his assistant comes in, and says something in Mandarin. He goes, "Oh, I have to take this call, but stay. Just, can you stay?" I was like, "Do I have the job? Like, do you want me to stay because I have the job?" He goes, "I got to take the call. Just stay."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay." So he leaves the room, and I called my wife, and she goes, "How did it go?" I said, "I don't know. He just took a call, and he told me just to stay, and I think that means I got the job, but I don't know." And she's like, "Oh my God, it's Lee." I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I got it." She goes, "You definitely got it. You've been there for hours talking to this guy." So now, okay, so he comes back in, and he goes, "Okay, so here's what we're doing, basically. Like, let's get to work." And it was probably the most challenging 3 months of my life after that.
Wow.
I was like, holy cow.
In every
way.
way?
The things that he's asking for,
okay.
Nobody's ever done these things,
right.
ever. And I have to figure them out.
Well, he knew. He knew. Because even you've been in comedy, but the way that your brain, you're so open and instinctively, he knew. That's what that, that's what that was. It had to have been.
So it was something about the way I looked up when he was talking.
Huh.
Because he's
instinctive.
He directs actors. He reads faces. He reads intention.
It's instinctive.
And he said, "You were thinking about what I was talking about. Just the fact that you cared enough to actually think about it sounds like it was more than the other contestants were willing to do." And then years later, he jokes, "I was his last choice. There were 5 people. And who would ever hire the guy who did the comedies? Who would ever hire that guy? On paper, I was never meant to be that guy." And that was and I love that he tells me that. I love that he said that. I love the fact that I was the underdog, and I like remaining the underdog. I don't want to ever be the obvious choice, the top guy, because then what's the challenge?
Well, but think about too, if you look at the breadth of his work and how diverse all of that is, he doesn't pigeonhole anybody. He must not. He doesn't pigeonhole himself.
No.
So he didn't do it to you.
No.
He went on, obviously I don't know the man, but it sounds like it was instinctive and he's open and he was responding in real time.
Yeah. And now
that's so cool.
I've had a working relationship for the last 12 years. Wow. He's doing something now. I can't do it, unfortunately, because we fell out of sync. We tried, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But we have stuff going on and I'm talking to him all the time, and he's one of those people. He's just been a mentor, a little bit in film, but mostly in life. He's more like there's a philosophy to everything. Everything's measured. There's a way of looking at life and being objective, not internalizing things, being observant, letting things happen in front of you, not to you, not at you. And then with all that energy that you're reserving from not emotionally responding to everything, you just have this well that you can always draw from for the things that you need it for. So that he's been,
what a great philosophy.
I've had a few dads in this industry, and he's definitely one who continues to be.
What a gift. And
tough on me. Just like my dad was tough on me. And at first, it used to upset me, and how do they talk to me that way? And then I just learned, what if I don't care? What if they say whatever they want, and I don't absorb it? What if they're right? What if I should look at myself? And as long as I keep doing that.
Well, that could be the hard realization. But when you get there, then you understand it. But
yeah.
So, because I think talking about Emily and how open and, he's new cinema and all of these things, with all of the changes that are happening in the film industry, I would love your thoughts on AI and what your perspective is on that.
Well, it's a big subject.
It is a big subject. Pros, cons.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to look at it in terms of is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? Ultimately, I don't think my opinion matters about whether it's going to be good or bad, because I can't know what's going to happen with it. But to me, because I already I've spent the last 25 years always looking for new tools, always thinking about new ways of doing things, and always pushing myself out of my comfort zone. To me, AI is not it's amazing, but it's not so revelatory in terms of how I've lived my life already.
Mm.
I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of challenges. So as a starting point, I'm open-minded about it. I started open-minded about it, not like, it's going to take my job. What's going to happen? That doesn't mean it wasn't going to take my job.
Right.
It just means I wasn't thinking about it that way. And I think not being scared about it allowed me to be objective, like everything.
Yeah.
And think about what is it about what I do that this could be interesting or useful. For some people, with all due respect, it's a threat, and I see it, and it's real. For my job, which is all I can speak to, it's going to make me better, I think. And maybe one day it'll brain drain me to the point where it'll toss my body out of a moving car, and that'll be the end of me. But until then, I have a function. Yeah. So I'm going to ride it out.
You're rolling with it.
So the other side of it is visual effects, which, so I think that's where a lot of the most meaningful change is happening now with AI. Maybe it'll catch up in production, but right now it's not there yet. We still need people to make movies. And writing a prompt, people don't want to write prompts. That's just my opinion. I did it. They have fun for a while, but it's kind of like a gimmick, like Sora and all these things. They're shutting down Sora. That tells you everything you need to know, right? So people don't want to prompt things. Yeah. They want to turn their brain off. So in my opinion, the purpose of the movie is that we've done the thinking for you. So all you have to do is press play and you're done. Turn your brain off. Whatever your worries are, whatever your troubles are, we'll take it from here. Yeah. The next hour and a half, you're going for the ride. They don't want to be like, write me a story about in the style of Steven Spielberg, but told in 1930s Germany. Like they just don't want to think about that. Yeah. So I do think that humans are going to be needed for this kind of storytelling.
Totally.
That's just my opinion. Maybe there's something other thing that AI is going to do, but I think it's going to be separate. Probably TikTok is more of a threat to the industry. Short form content.
The shorts, yeah.
And the fact that people have a short attention span for certain things, but things like this, they want to hear, they could listen for 10 hours. Yeah. Like, talk to me for a month.
Fascinating.
Or show me something for a minute and a half, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
I saw an interview. It was Matt Damon talking about that the way that there was, I don't know what the recent movie was in or something he recently filmed, that they strategically planned what he had said several times throughout the scene because people don't pay attention to movies in the same way anymore. They're on their phone. He said they might miss it the first time, so we have to say it again.
Make sure it's clear.
Yeah. It's like, it changes the way you make films.
Well, they have these preview audiences, and the preview audiences don't understand things. If 50% of them don't understand it, even though you made it clear, it doesn't matter. Right. It's not clear. So you have to, So they just learn this. Yeah. And I'm sure they have their own models for determining what's going to make, like, what kind of, like, internal logic in a narrative is going to automatically make sense and which one needs to be repeated, like this interview you heard.
It's crazy.
So, but with visual effects, this I think is the biggest change because it's, and I know I respect visual effects and I've worked with a lot of great visual effects supervisors and vendors, and I've, and the way some of the filmmakers I've worked with operate at a very high level with visual effects. And I'm like I said, I'm integrated in the way I think about everything. I'm not like, I do production, you do visual effects. And anybody who says I do visual effects and you do production, I instantly go, no, like, that's not the way this works. Right. It's one film and we're all responsible for all of it. Yeah. Right. So when it comes to AI, right now, certainly there are some people who are trying to jump the shark, in my opinion, and cut out all the artists. But I don't think, in my opinion, that it's going to go straight there. Like, there won't be visual effects. It's just going to go straight to AI. I think it's about the supercharge idea again, but with tools. So instead of something that used to take, 1,000 hours of manpower can now be processed in, 10 minutes. Right. The tools, it's not a collaborative, right? And you said this earlier, that AI is about tool. It's about a tool. It's not, and I said it's not about a collaboration. And I think that's the part that if directors aren't seeing it now in studios, they're going to see it. A director can't sit with a computer and direct the computer.
Right.
You have to prompt it. It's like a little baby. And you're teaching it ideas and concepts, and it has to be fed these concepts, and it's got to learn and make mistakes and trip and fall and cry, and then you pick it up again and give it a cookie, and then it learned it, and it's like over time, you're iterating, you're teaching it tools.
Right.
But it's not just doing the work.
Right. No.
So, so some of the filmmakers I've worked with, well, like Aang really wants to lean into it.
I'm not surprised
based
on what you said.
And he, really a lot of what he wants to do has to do with like environments and aging and de-aging and action. These are all things that, in my opinion, objectively need an upgrade. I think a lot of times, we start to say to ourselves, that's a fight. We watch a movie and the audience collectively has a contract. There's a contract between the audience and the filmmakers. When we say, that's a fight. And there are things about what we're watching on the screen that signal to the audience, I'm watching a fight right now.
Right.
But it's actually, in fact, not a fight at all. It's choreography.
Right.
And most people don't see a fight. And when they do, they're not prepared for it. Having watched 10,000 hours of movie fights, did not prepare them for the moment they got punched in the face, where they saw somebody get punched in the face. This is very, shocking, almost. Why? And so this is what I love about him, is it's why is it so shocking in real life? But in a movie, it's yeah, it's a fight.
Yeah, it's true.
It's that's a fight.
That's true.
This is now the part where we watch the fight. And, you have two stunt guys, and they're really skilled. They're like acrobats. And one stunt guy says to the other guy, I'm going to punch you. And the other guy says, right, and I'm going to accept your punch. But in real life, nobody accepts a punch. You just get punched in the face. Ow, ow. Holy cow, you see stars. But in a movie, if I punch you, you receive a punch. You're anticipating it. You're moving away from it.
Right.
You're acting like you're about to get punched. So what is it about that moment psychologically that we've accepted, and how can we upgrade it so that what he did in his early films with fighting and martial arts that broke the mold so they could make movies like The Matrix that wouldn't have been possible without movies like Crouching Tiger.
It was just mind-blowing.
So, but the thing about it is, it wasn't about technology. The things that they did on that movie were actually very simple.
But it's perspective. And that's what he's challenging.
He's challenging perspective
and you were talking about his personal philosophy.
Yeah.
And perspective. That's really what it is challenging perspective.
So what's the norm? Why is it the norm?
Right.
Does it have to be the norm? Do we have to accept it as the norm? And I think once you start thinking no, I think that's a healthy way to look at things.
Yeah,
it's not we want to put people out of work. People are going to keep working.
Yeah.
The question is, are they going to learn how to have an open mind or get, it's like the Industrial Revolution. There were the Luddites and there were the people who weren't the Luddites. The Luddites were no, we have to keep, using the machine that does the thing. Why?
Yeah, it's very jarring. People just is jarring. Change is so jarring for most people. So
yeah. But if you've spent your life leaning into it and being excited by change, then it's not scary. It's just not scary.
You were 13 years old, Brian.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have spent your career helping, tell other people's stories. So what role do you think that storytelling plays in how we view ourselves? And how has that personally impacted you in your own story?
Oh my gosh.
And you can break it down if that's too much in one question. So how do you think storytelling plays a role in how we as humans, as an audience, view ourselves?
I'm not a neurologist or a sociologist, but I have to think that there's something primal about this idea of getting things off our chest. Trying to think of the word now.
You mean like identifying with the stories that we see?
No, getting feelings off our chest, feelings that we've been holding, we have our personal, psyche. Then we talk about like Jungian psychology and the ego and all these things that I think that there's a thread in different sort of concentric circles, starting with me, then going out to my family, then going out to my community, then going out to the country, then going out to the continent, the world, and the universe, etc. And that there's somehow like a thread through each of those concentric circles that links back to each individual, and then you have this sort of Venn diagram of overlapping experiences. And some of it's informed by pop culture, some of it's informed by generational trauma, some of it's informed by how we see ourselves, advertising, lies that we're fed, truths that we're told, self-help that we listen to or we neglected to listen to, and then everything sort of gets repressed. I think most people, probably me included, walk around most of the day really unaware of who they are and what their role is in the world that they're living in. Like we play a role. Right. And in a lot of ways there's this overlap between an actor in a movie, in a construct, and a human in the world, which is in a way a construct. It is what we think it is. It is what we're told. Right. The sky is blue. I live on Earth. There's oceans and wildlife and other human beings. And this is how we interact with one another. But really, that's very subjective. But there's something about movies that brings it together because it's now told from one perspective that we can all share and sort of map our own experience onto.
Yeah, and I think as humans, a lot of people, we like to see ourselves on screen or in a book or whatever it is because there's a sense of connection in that. Whether it's a broken character or, a hero. People project their own experiences onto these characters. And maybe it's aspirational. Maybe it's an actual thing. Maybe they've been through trauma and then of course a lot of it is entertainment and it's escape and release. But I do think that a lot of people identify and and that's why they love movies and TV shows.
I'm willing to bet nobody looks in the mirror and says, I'm the antagonist. Everybody sees themselves as the protagonist.
Oh, absolutely. From their perspective.
Which is the most interesting thing to me because every movie has to have an antagonist. I mean, that's the construct of every movie.
Right,
it's like
of course.
The hero's journey and the way you structure a script has to include an antagonist. And there's a mechanical reason for that in storytelling because there has to be some counter friction, like some friction against the antagonist getting or the protagonist getting what they want. And I think everybody sees themselves as a protagonist fighting against all these protagonists in their life. And all those other protagonists see themselves as the whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but not everybody can be both. And in truth, it's bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit. This idea of protagonist, antagonist is strictly a storytelling construct. Right. It has nothing to do with real life. But in a way, I think it's informed the way people now see, and I think maybe to our detriment, that everything's become so black and white. Right. And, not to go down the rabbit hole of politics, but politics and culture and the way they see themselves and everybody else. It's like each other. Good, bad, nothing in between. Right. Good, bad, nothing in between. That's movies. Right. The simple ones. Now there are ones that are complex because human beings are complicated. The true story, the true character is the complicated one. Always. That doesn't answer simple questions. The big Hollywood movies, and I'll be the first to admit I'm guilty of working on these movies, are the overly simplified. Right. And again, it's because people don't want to do a prompt. They don't want to read the subtitles. They don't want to think about complexity. They deal with complexity all day long. Right. They want to turn off their brain. Right. Good, bad, evil, justified, and that's just like, okay, that's easier. But easier isn't better for your brain. It's not better for your soul. And that's why when I do watch movies and if I watch movies, I'm very selective about the ones that I watch.
I should have asked you that. I didn't think to ask you that.
No, you know, I mean, it's kind of like, it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, at that point, I'm an audience member.
Yeah.
But, you know, what tax accountant goes home and does their taxes?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, I used to love watching movies. Making movies ruined watching movies for me. Because
you
I just...
pick them apart? Like,
yeah, I'm just so
I used to do that
it.
with... No, I get that. I don't do it anymore, but for years, my editor brain, I would go past billboards and things, and I would automatically want to... It just drove me insane, so I quit doing that. But yeah. Yeah, it drove me bonkers. But, yeah.
But I get that. As a human being... I try to watch things that challenge my values. I want my values challenged. I want to see a character in a complex, compromised situation. And I want to see how they figure it out. And then I want to think for myself, did they do it right? Did they do it wrong? Or is there such a thing? Maybe sometimes there's no such answer.
Right.
Because that's real life. Real life usually is very unsatisfying. It's not like, well, that's all done. The jury made their verdict and we know they're guilty and they're absolutely guilty and there's never going to be a shadow of a doubt. Never. No. It's like almost never. There's always a shadow of a doubt in everything that happens in real life. And somehow in Hollywood, it's like the hero wins the day and the antagonist was conquered. Right. And they were bad and the hero was good. Right. And it's just like, all right.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel better after a hard day, have at it. But it's kind of, you know, not as many calories as I need. Yeah.
Well, and you just answered the latter half of the question, which is how has storytelling, changed your own story? But you're very selectively, very specifically looking for those movies that do challenge you to evolve. And that's how storytelling has helped you in that way.
Well, also, just like my own ethics. Because what are ethics? I mean, when I was 10... my ethics were all designed by my parents, and the immediate family around me. But that doesn't mean they were right. It just means that that's who was around me to inform that way of thinking. And then as time goes on, I met more people. I started traveling all over the place. And I traveled, but then I traveled to make films. So I find myself all over the earth. Yeah. In Malaysia, in Colombia, in Hungary, all over the United States. And, when I find myself in other cultures, I bring, it's a very American thing nothing against Americans, but it is a very American thing. We think that our culture just automatically imports everywhere we go. And that's just the way it is. But actually, people don't really like that. No. They really don't like that. No. They have a culture they're proud of, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not judging Americans or their culture, but when I travel to a place, I don't bring the culture. I bring the objectives, and then my job becomes, how do I first understand this culture? Right. Like, I have to understand this culture, and that's not like, I'm open-minded and I understand other cultures. It's more tactical to say, I wind up becoming more empathetic as a byproduct. But I'm not looking for empathy. I'm like, I got to deliver this movie. I got time. I got to go. Make it work. But you can't go in there with this attitude like with an American bulldozer. You have to go in with okay, I have to understand what makes you guys tick, figure out how to operate on your level, and then take my objectives and try to filter it through that level of understanding cross-culturally. And that, to me, has been the biggest, in terms of the way I think about myself in the world. My ethics started off, in a crib, then in a living room, then a house, then a neighborhood, then and now it's the world. So, what I map onto a movie is much more complex. Now, is it being told from whose perspective? A hero's a hero, why? Because who said so? Right. So now I'm too critical to just, and in a way, I wish I could go back. I wish there was a switch. I could just turn it off and just watch a dumb movie. Right. Because I love them. I love them. But I'm just too cynical now to just go with it.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable. I mean, I understand that. From that same lens, the question I wanted to ask is
for you, what does solid leadership on a set look like?
I mean, it's
and this is here globally.
This is
what you were saying, yeah.
It's not just on a set. The set, in a way, the set is the easiest part of my job.
Or within solid
even though
leadership
things
within
may
your
happen.
realm.
Yeah. Things like it's a continuum that starts with ideas. Like starts with this before me.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has an idea, they write it. And then I'm introduced. Then remember, I talked about developing my own perspective on what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from the perspective come principles. Like you start setting like rules about what does this movie need, what's important. That's something I brought up earlier, and the reason why that's critical for what I do is because without the principles, there's what are you defending, and what do you like if you're going to lead these troops up that mountain, over that river, through that valley, in the heat and whatever. And through the dead of night, how do you guide them without principles?
Right.
Like, why are we following you? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're in a movie through no fault of your own. The principles were there, or maybe they get a little unglued, and people feel that.
Oh, yeah.
That loss of, perspective, that loss of like a destination. Mm. In the best possible version of it, for me, I get not just responsibility, but I get authority over the principles I develop for guiding the movie to the end, right? So if I get that authority and I have a clean perspective, then I can figure out how am I going to explain that perspective to people so they can understand it, which is very hard, right? That's the first thing, like figuring out how to solve a problem is not the same as solving a problem. Solving the problem, like this is what I learned with Aang, because there were things that I had to figure out, and other filmmakers that everybody's like, that's crazy. You're never going to be able to do that. Nobody's ever done that. And then you solve it, and you have that aha moment, and you go, early days, I got it. I'm done. It's done. But now what I've learned is you haven't even begun. Because the real challenge is how do you articulate it, and how do you articulate it to different people,
right?
And so they can understand it, and work collaboratively in that understanding with that perspective, and then go over the mountain and through the river and in the valley and through the dark of night and all those things. Right. Like they have to believe it. It's not just, it can't be a passive,
right.
Oh yeah, I get it. Oh, you're going on about that thing again. Yeah. No, they have to feel it, like really understand it. I got into a point, if I explain something and people start drifting, I feel it. If they're not dialed in. So now I use I'm all about visual cues and watching people as I explain it, watching their face. And I'm like, you get it or you don't. And I know right away now, if they don't get it, I have to gently guide them. Yeah. And it can take time. But without that, and the studio and the director and the producer, the team, without that, you can't be a harmonious production moving in the same direction. So that's a big thing with new concepts. Sometimes, and nothing against it, it's not no one way is right or wrong. Sometimes it's chaos, right? Just chaos.
What is chaos?
The production is just chaos.
Okay.
Right? Just there's no direction.
Huh.
And maybe it's because somebody wants it that way, and maybe it's because they don't know what they want, and maybe it's just because. There's no reason for it. So in my role, I'm the one who's supposed to stabilize. People see me as a stabilizer. I came up with a concept. I brought perspective. I said, we're going to do. And they see things are working out. The more they follow my lead, everything's going to be okay. So they keep coming back to me for that stability. But at a certain point on a film where it just becomes chaos, it's not most of them, but it's some. When they come to me, I have to express why it's chaotic and why that's okay. Like, why does this film owe you calm? And maybe your perspective that you deserve calm is the issue.
Wow.
It's not that we don't have a right to order.
that's a luxury. I mean, the fact that even in society that things are organized and we have roads and, you know, we pay taxes and things, potholes get paved and you get sick and they take you to the hospital and all these things happen is a luxury that's by our design. Why? Because we designed it. But in truth, I think it's actually chaos. I think everything's chaos. And I think the order that we bring to it is a construct.
Yeah, to function.
But I think that at its fundamental, left, you know, unchecked, it's all chaos.
Yeah, I know exactly what you
And
mean.
we just created this order so we don't feel chaotic all the time.
Right.
But in fact, if you know, you can just accept that actually the order is what's unnatural and the chaos is what's natural, then that's not such a bad thing. And secondly, this is my opinion, that, you know, even the silliest of films is art. And what art wants to do, or it tries to do, is something original. And nothing original ever came from order.
Absolutely.
Order comes from order. So, but that doesn't mean you can't make a good movie, but it may mean you're not making art. And I do think that unwittingly, some of the greatest directors create chaos. They want chaos. They long for chaos. Because, like, when you get to the core of the chaos, there's like the white hot light that's at the core of it is inspiration. It's like
it's unfiltered. It's unfiltered.
Fear, chaos, unpredictability, all these things that are art.
Yeah.
Art and chaos, in my mind, are synonymous. And order and art are opposing.
Yeah.
And so that makes it easier for me when I'm like, it's chaotic. I'm like, right, because we're making art. And so I'll tell people, maybe the chaos is the point.
And are people? For some people that's a pretty big philosophical thought process. Does everyone latch onto that?
No, almost nobody does.
That would be my guess.
No, they're like, it just keeps changing. And look, I totally sympathize.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to them like, it's chaos, get out of my office. Like, I'll sit with them and talk to them. And I'm like,
Right,
I realize like on Tuesday, you know, we are, you know, filming a scene at a speedway. And he hasn't picked the yellow car or the red car. And you have to make a decision by Monday night whether to bring a yellow car or a red car. And you just don't know.
Right.
And that's really frustrating. Like, you can say chaos, right? This is fun. But at some point, somebody's going to go, that's a yellow car. I fucking wanted a red car. Why is there a yellow car at the speedway?
Right.
And so they're panicked.
Right.
And that's actually about ego.
I know. Yeah.
The ego is, I'm going to be exposed.
I'm going to get.
I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be exposed as a guy who didn't know it was a red car. And he didn't tell me, of course I wouldn't know it's a red car. Why didn't he just tell me it's a red car? What if, you know, you get yelled at? What if the point of it isn't you chose the wrong car, but yelling is what had to happen in that moment? And that's nothing to do with you. That's just the moment. And like, the more you can be fluid, it's not easy for a lot of people to grasp. And also, for me, like, I don't have to have a yellow car or a red car. The picture car guy does.
Yeah.
I don't have to pick this couch or that couch. The set decorator does.
Right.
I don't have to pick this lens or that lens. The cinematographer does. So in a way, it's easy for me to say these things.
Well, but you have your own unique challenges just in different areas. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing would apply to you, just in a different arena. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. Every day.
That's everybody.
Every day.
And that, from that perspective, from that lens.
I mean, imagine a studio says to me in November, here's a script. This is how much you have. We're not going to give you any resources to figure it out, but we're going to hold you accountable for the bottom line. And then 2 months later, you're standing on a set, or 3 months later, it's, you know, March, and you're standing on a set, and they say, how could you not have known? And it's like, well, I'm not going to explain all the steps to you, but you shouldn't take it for granted that most of what we do has nothing to do with planning. It has to do with reacting. So usually what I try to do in pre-production, like I'm diligent, I work hard, but I rest a lot.
Yeah.
I don't create issues where they don't exist.
I'm so glad that you shared that, because I think that that's something that most people don't do, or they don't talk about it if they do. And I think that that's
It's like
really important.
Yeah, people wear it as a badge of honor. Like, I work more hours than you.
No,
I don't. If you
Mm-mm.
can get the same amount of work done and get a solid 8 hours of sleep at night,
Oh no, it
versus the guy who
you.
works 17 hours and is frazzled all the time,
And you just burn out.
and you burn out.
No,
That's not
I'm
a badge
so
of
glad
honor.
that you said that. No, I totally agree with that.
I get a good night's sleep pretty much. Well, there are like clusters of time,
Mm-hmm.
and actually I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
These clusters of time where I have to things went off the rails,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to like reorient the whole production
Mm.
in a way that the machine is not capable of doing at that period of time for whatever reason. And I retreat to my home, wherever I'm living, and for 4 days or 5 days, I go into a cone, like a flow.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in that 5 days, I'll sleep 10 hours.
Wow.
And when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming, like fever dreams.
Wow.
And I'm waking up and I'm going back to it, and back to sleep. And I don't get tired. And I just stay in the flow. And then coming out the other side, it's like, this is it. I figured it out.
Wow.
And that has to happen sometimes once or twice on a project. And I tell, they know, I say, you don't call me, like, figure it out. Like, you're deputized to do that. If it's like real emergency, call me. Otherwise, if I have questions, I'll call you. Leave him, everybody knows, leave him alone. He's got to figure this out right now. And when he comes out, there'll be a plan again. We're going to get it back on track. So that might happen, but it's for a very short period of time. And I love it because I know it's a defined period of time. And I like getting lost in it and figuring it out and dreaming about it. And it's very active.
That's intense, yeah.
But then it's over, and then I'm just like, I'm going to make some dinner. I'm having breakfast. Maybe I'm going to take a walk. I'll call a friend. And I do the work. I always do the work. I go to the meetings. I pay attention. I'm aware of what's going on, but I'm not going through pre-production like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is going to be, I have to control everything. Actually, the closer I get to production, the more I let go of the controls. So usually I'm most controlling at the beginning. After I have a perspective, I'm controlling that narrative. Right? So now I have a studio and I have different people who want authority, but I know eventually they're not going to take responsibility for that authority.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I have to, that's where I'm tougher and I'm scary and I get passionate about it because I know it's not what I think, it's what I know. Like I've seen the light.
Yeah.
I've been to the mountaintop and now I'm like, guys, this is what it is. And this is where you get the scent. Well, that's not the way we do it. We're going to do it like that. That's who's going to work on that. That's who's going to do that. And I have to fight. And it's very solitary, right? Because nobody understands what the project is. At the end, everybody's an expert. Oh, we did this and we did that. And everybody can give a reference. Yeah. And this worked out and that worked out. And it all went great. But nobody will ever say because there was a perspective. That perspective was defended. It was fought for, protected, and then carried forward into production. Now, once the perspective catches traction and people just start doing those things, that's when I let go of the controls. I'm not a controlling person by nature. I don't want to control things. It's just that with enough perspective, you get this sort of sense memory of these situations, and you know what's going to happen. Like at the beginning, I know. I talk to somebody, I hear the tone in their voice, I'm like, this person's going to screw me.
Oh.
This person's saying things, this person doesn't have my back. And so how can I trust them to help me deliver this movie where the director wants this, the studio's saying that, those are polar opposite things, which there can only be one reality. So how do I defend that reality? I don't want to make enemies, but at the same time, if that's what I have to do, I'm not afraid to. And the further I get into it, I'm just like, but by the end, what I realize, it's not about what people think about you at the beginning. It's only about how you leave.
Absolutely, yeah. And the foundational work is always the hardest. It's always the most important and the hardest work.
That's right. So
Well, that said, what like moving forward inspires you, excites you in your mind? Like
Everything.
Yeah. Because I love that answer. That's great.
I mean,
that's great.
Meeting you.
Yeah.
Just, you know, talking to you. Like I'm thinking about things I hadn't. I just, you know, I just don't want to be bored.
Yeah.
I got projects.
You're not bored. Yeah.
I got other things going on.
Awesome.
And, you know, I'm curious to see where the industry is going from here.
Mm.
I'm not afraid. I'm kind of more like, it's more wonderment. Because again, I still don't know. It's the same as I've been for 25 years.
No one knows.
But the only thing that's changed about me is I'm more and more comfortable with that idea.
Yeah.
Not knowing. But just like putting myself in places where it's more likely to happen than not.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm reading scripts and I'm meeting people and I'm out there, I'm more likely to be having fun than if I'm like, I just want to take some time and maybe get into gardening. You know, like I love gardening. But not like, I'm not retired. I'm going to drop dead on a film set.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm not.
Yeah.
We're somewhere in like Africa or something. I'm just going to boom. And they'll be like, just dig a hole, push them in. That'll be it.
Well, that's so funny. And I do think that the best thing we can do, and it can also feel like the hardest thing, not as much for me now, but for a long time too, is like just holding on to that 8-year-old or that 10-year-old version of yourself that just didn't think about it. You just had fun and it was all like wonder, you know, and kids don't stumble around thinking about how they're going to fix something or they just do whatever comes to them. So, but then of course we get that beat out of us as we become older. And so it's like, for me, I found like actually backtracking and like tapping into that kid version. Like this is fun. Like just have more fun. So, and I know, you know, there are budgets and things and all of that, but there are definitely elements of it. You can tap into the kid stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Then just have fun. So,
and we're at the age now where the generation before us is getting older. They're in their golden years. And I find I have a lot of relationships with older people. Yeah. You know, a lot. Mm-hmm. And that gives me a lot of perspective.
Yes.
And young people.
Yep.
I don't feel the need to just hang out with people my age.
No, it's so interesting. I think it's actually really, really important to have friends of all ages and in all different, you know, walks of life. And
everybody's, if we're lucky, on our deathbed, reflecting back on their life.
Yeah.
And I see every decision I make is just writing that script. Mm. And when I'm lying there, I can go, yeah, I did that. Oh, that was fun. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I wasn't afraid that day.
Yeah.
And I spoke my mind and I did the right thing. And I screwed up there, but I still tried, you know, as opposed to I coulda, I shoulda, had they not done this to me, had they not done that to me. Because not all the older folks I'm talking to have the best memory of their life. And it's sad to me. And there are people I love who I wish I could put them in a time machine.
I know.
And be like, you should have stuck up to your boss. You should have told them that thing that you've been living with for 30 years. And now you're lying here saying, I wish I could have, I did it, you know, and you're doing it and I see you doing it and I wish I could have, you know, and I'm just like, that won't be me.
Right.
It can't be.
Right.
There's no way.
Right. And I think too, it's like, sometimes you're not afraid, but even like if you are nervous, just you go do it anyway.
That's it.
Go do it anyway. And anytime, you know, I went abroad and I lived abroad, when I landed, I was like, I mean, a couple times I was like, what am I doing here, you know? But then after like a week, you're kind of like out and about, and then you start meeting people. And then I lived in Budapest and I, you know, met this woman studying opera who was from England, and I hung out with a film crew who was doing this Dinotopia TV series.
Budapest.
The Opera House. And it's like, you know, I remember being in the middle of it. I was like, this is just
wonderment.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I wasn't doing this a month ago. So, you know all these new people and these new experiences. And I don't know what that word is. It's a word this long with 5 accents, but I know where that's going to take me. You know what I mean? On the subway. So yeah, it's always cool. Last question, because this is Savannah Conversations Leadership Series.
Yeah.
Tell me about why you like Savannah, working in Savannah, filming in Savannah.
Yeah, I love Savannah. It's just gorgeous. I love the people. Everybody's so sweet. The food, just the air. It's just, everything about it is inspiring. I feel like I'm living in a crime novel, kind of. It's just fantastic.
That's funny.
And it just has such an identity.
It does.
It just has it has an identity. And it's not like the strip mall and the thing and the blah, 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 and they raised everything.
Right.
And tract houses.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really an identity. And that, first of all, I like a place with a perspective, and it knows who it is, and the people are proud of what it is.
That's true.
And people who are native to here come back.
Mm-hmm.
They don't leave. Mm-hmm. Even you said, I'm out of here and back.
And then I came back. Yeah.
And it's
been a great decision. Great. And if you had told me at 17, 18 that I would come back, or when I was in New York, I would have said you're crazy. Just because I was in that very exploratory, in my whole life, kind of went a different direction. But yeah, it's a great, great town. And it's so diverse. Look, I'm not going to lie. There's Spanish moss everywhere. That makes it a very specific look for a film. Yeah.
So you really want to embrace the fact that there's Spanish moss, unless you're making a mostly interior film.
Yeah, it's not all advantageous, yeah.
So mostly people, when they come to Georgia to make a movie, they just go to Atlanta. And I've certainly shot in Atlanta. It's a great city. I love the crew there. I like people there. But on a moral level, I also feel that it's my responsibility to really look out for taxpayer. Like, sounds crazy. This is how I think about things. Everybody in Georgia pays the same tax rate, but all the production goes to Atlanta. So Atlanta gets all the advantage of the tax credit, but Savannah pays the same tax rate. But they get none of the bump and the advantage. That feels unbalanced to me. That feels unfair. And so often whenever I go to these places, it's just like a thing with me. And I'm not trying to be like a crusader, like a moral crusader, or I'm not like virtue signaling in any way. I'm just saying I'm a taxpayer.
Yeah.
And that would piss me off. And I think there's something real about going to a place, treating that place with respect, treating the people with respect. I do believe something comes back to you. Absolutely. And the film, that there's a synergy that you create when you think that way. And it doesn't mean that people are going to be like, he thought of the taxpayer. It's not that specific thing.
No, it's energetic, the energetics of it.
Well, it's like an attitude.
Yeah.
And that attitude, the more you think that way, the more people just feel it. It's like in the water supply. They just feel it. You don't have to say, I respect you, people of Savannah, in a speech. Like, they just feel it. It's like they're casting locals. They're coming here. They're showing these beautiful things. They're coming and speaking to our classes. The director came by. Like, that's like a holistic approach. Something I learned making like very small films, independent films, would be, I would cast the location, right? So we would say, like, I'm not just finding a town. I'm finding the movie. It's like you remember the movie, the David Mamet film, State and Maine?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like, but that's the movie within the movie. But what I'm talking about is, like, the people who inhabit the town are the people in the movie.
Yeah. I love that perspective. And I'll tell you, you will not find a more excited town and the people in Savannah. They're fantastic. Love it. No, they love it. They love it. They embrace it. And, but that's great that you think that. Think that way. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, there's challenges with shooting here. It's not a major production city. There's not like 5 big sound stages.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they have some makeshift spaces. They're not exactly like, they're not like what you're going to get in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, or LA. Okay. But if you're a location-based movie and you're either can lean into the Spanish moss look, right? Or like frame it out in a certain way. I don't know. That's for the DP to decide. Or you're mostly interior with a little bit of exterior. I did a film here that was that had like 8 weeks of stage work, big stage work, big complicated sets. It had a bunch of practical locations, some in Columbia and some we said in Savannah. We got to choose. We got the script and it was sort of plug and play big action movie. So we said, let's make the primary location Savannah and just lean into the fact that it's Savannah. And so it made it easy. Like, that became the truth of that character. but there weren't obviously there's no Columbia here. We had to go to Columbia. And then for the stage work and for some exterior work, we went to Budapest.
Okay.
Right. So we were able to, be efficient, right? But also like build they have huge stages in Budapest.
Oh, yeah.
And build these, and they have great crew. And so we built these gorgeous state-of-the-art sets. And we had practical locations in Budapest. So it was a very linear track that the film was on. But I was here for a year. And
that's amazing.
It grew on me, and the people grew on me, and I love working with them. It's a small crew base. We're hiring as many people as we can. We've been trying to hire people from SCAD as much as we can.
Oh, cool.
We have traineeship programs and partnerships, and Universal's been really helpful with those things. I was here on a Skydance film with Paramount. They were like super into it. So SCAD, I think, is the cornerstone of it's like the heartbeat of this place. The students that they put out and the class I spoke with were so engaged, so smart, so dialed in. Not like, social media zombies, but like really listening, really asking smart questions.
That's amazing.
And I could see it in their eyes. I know. Like I said, I read it.
Yeah.
And I could tell they were engaged and excited by it. And if it's like that in a film production class, I got to imagine it's like that across the board. So they've been super supportive.
Great.
The whole film department's been supportive. Georgia Southern, obviously, and you, incredibly supportive. I wish you guys had a film program because we could hire them. But also I had the opportunity to meet the students at Georgia Southern. Kids walking by.
Amazing.
Great. They're wonderful. They're like asking smart questions.
Amazing.
Want to know what's going on. If I wanted to get involved, how could I get involved? It's like every day. I'm saying I meet somebody every day. They don't even know who I am. I'm just walking down a hallway, walking across the campus, and these kids are fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's this place. There's something about the place.
Yeah. It's like an incubator.
It is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great.
I'll be back.
Well, you better.
Rest assured.
You better. All right, well, awesome. Thank you so much. I could literally sit here for like 8 more hours, but we'll cut it off.
All right.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was great talking.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you.